When we combine smart technology with a direct drive trainer, the indoor training experience was elevated to a totally new level. The global response to the Neo has been phenomenal, and this has fueled our desire to develop a range of trainers that will make this superior training experience available to a larger group of cycling enthusiasts. The result is a highly functional, capable and intuitive device with its own distinctive silhouette. The Flux is a fully interactive smart trainer that connects you to all your favorite apps. Hosting the dual band and plus, FEC and Bluetooth technology, it communicates with and can be controlled by any device of your choice. The responsive smart electronics make sure that the smallest fluctuation in power settings is converted into an alteration in resistance, ensuring that each watt is transferred accurately to your body. The desire to create an accessible direct drive has meant designing a whole new product. The best riders are able to produce 850 watts for 1 minute or maintain 450 watts for 20 minutes. The Flux has been designed to deliver exactly these power values and thus more than capable of fulfilling the needs of the passionate cyclist. Driven by 8 strong electromagnets, the Flux is even able to generate a stunning 1500 watts during a sprint. The trainer feels very smooth due to its 7-kilogram flywheel, whilst the product's internal structure has been tuned to simulate a true road feel. Its compact design clearly differentiates the Flux from other indoor trainers, while subtly being a family member of the Neo, with the same stealth-like form language and durable, sophisticated finish. The Flux has been designed to beautifully complement Tacx's direct drive assortment. It can be seen as the most accessible, interactive smart direct drive trainer to date.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the EU Crit Series presented by Tacx on Zwift. We're out on the London Classic course this week. I want to welcome to the broadcast also my co-caster, Wesley Sulzberger. Give a wave to the crowd here. Wesley, how's it going there, Wes?
Yeah, I'm good. Good down here, down under.
Awesome. Also, if you would like to interact with the broadcast as racers are getting warmed up here, we do have any comments or questions. You can ask them right over on the social integration on Facebook, as well as over at Twitter with an @ZCommunityLive. You can see the men here about to get going, saying some hammer times here. And with about 15 seconds or so to go in the eCrit series, we're going to make sure that we follow them out of the gate. But I want to definitely check out the current standings in the series, as well as give you some details on how this eCrit series is working, both for Europe and North America. The current standings in the eCrit are as shown here. Currently, we have Kim Little leading things out, followed up by Zwift HQ man. There it is, Tom Hargreaves, Jurgens Tempelar, Arvils Vic Strims, and Sebastian Sternfalk there in the top 5. Over the next 4 weeks, there are 5 weeks total, all the way through the 30th of November. Every Monday, riders will be battling it out on Zwift for points in that series. And at the end, the top 10 men and women from the series in the EU and then also in the NA will be getting spots to the final in January. We also have the women here lining up about a minute or so before they get going out on to the course. Let's take a quick little look at them as they are about to take off. We got 12 men lined up right now. Hopefully a few more are going to be logging in, but we can see the current series standings for them as well. Currently sitting in the top 5, we got Rich Elliott, Nikki Kicken, Zeke Kreider, Kerry Konebear there, as well as Fred 76, and then the rest rounding out through, I believe that would be the top 10 or 11 or so. And we'll definitely be following them as they head through the series as well into the race right now with about 30 seconds to start. Again, any questions or comments, make sure to bring them right on into the broadcast, though, about the series. Wes, it looks like we have a lot of the favorites lining up, and of course they would be within that top 20 or so. Kim Little, obviously, here. We were going to try and bring him in on the Zwift on board, but we had a couple of technical difficulties there. We'll hopefully get him in, or somebody else maybe, next week. But, I mean, Kim Little and Team Experimental seemed fairly unstoppable last week.
Yeah, I mean, the name doesn't do it justice. He didn't race anything little at all. He went out there and really gave it a good crack. He was, he was in a lot of the breaks early on we saw last time. It's sort of like that, that really hungry, and he was showing his form, his cards early, and then backed it up with the win at the end with the sprint finish. And it was one of those full-on group sprints. It was a bit of a lead out, and it wasn't like we'd seen some of the other races that I've been following. It was an actual full-on bunch pack sprint. We had Hargraves also up there in second place, representing Zwift HQ.
Yeah, and Hargreaves, I think, felt like he was nipped right at the line too. He's quite the sprinter for sure, and it'll be interesting to see if he is lined up today. And do see, yes, he is definitely here and going to be battling out. It looks like wasn't just a one-off there, as we do have Hargreaves here in and amongst the group. If we can get a good shot there, we'll try from the top here. He is hanging out in the Zwift Academy men's kit that you do get if you were able to get if you did complete the Zwift Academy here. So we do see Hargreaves, Kim Little in there. I believe we saw Jens Templar in third place with that amazing prediction that somebody made about how things would come across the finish line last week. I don't know, the rolling of the dice by whoever that guy was pretty well, but looking forward, I'm looking for Jens. Did you happen to spot him out there? I haven't seen him yet. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled, people. If you do see him, let me know. There's a lot of racers, though. 123 showed up for the day to throw their cards in and try and see if they can grab some points.
Yeah, looks like we've got a nice big field here, and everyone's looks like they're pretty happy to keep the pace rolling reasonably high here too, Nathan, at 300 watts. That 100 cadence here on the front pushing through. We see Buklov. I'm really struggling with some of these names, but you might be able to help me out with that, Nathan.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Russia, Buklov.
We'll give that a run. We'll give that a run. So it looks like the pace is reasonably high, and they're sort of all staying together here, and no real digs in that first sort of lap here. So I reckon that they'll keep this pace rolling pretty high. Looks like everyone's sort of happy to do a little bit of a pull in the front, keep up near the front, because it is a good tactic to stay near the front, especially if you're not the strongest rider. You want to sort of be sitting at that front of the pack. Make sure that when that surge happens, that you're not getting dropped out the back. So if you're starting sort of halfway through the bunch and there is a surge, you'll find yourself maybe dangling on the back. So I think a few of the other riders hopefully are starting to pick up that tactic. Looks like some power-ups being used too now, Nathan.
Yeah, looking at the power-ups there pretty early, and these will be power-ups that people actually went out and grabbed prior, usually, to the race. That is a tactic everybody should be paying attention to there. If you're jumping into a race, do your warm-up and go find that favorite power-up for sure. As we do see the arrow power-ups, the feather power-ups, making sure that they make that initial selection, because that is the first climb out on course, and then we hit this fairly flat crit course where it becomes an extremely tactical race, except for every time they make their way through Whitehall and back up toward Trafalgar Square there. So that is going to be the most crucial point out on course we're going to be watching for sure each time they do come around on this crit course here out on the London Classic. Now, I am not seeing Templar out there at all, actually. I did see Mueller, though, who is sitting in 6th place, I believe, just behind Sebastian Sternfalk. We'll be keeping an eye out as well for Sternfalk out there. S. Gray, though, with a counter there. It looks like they come over the top there, 6.8. Under the orange numbers for a moment there. Maybe wanting to hold things up a little bit. But now Kim Little coming up toward the front as well. Maybe experimental, trying to make things difficult from the get-go, but we're just seeing a 4.744. I think maybe a controlling of the pace, perhaps, Wes.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of controlling there to make sure that it does stay together. They don't want any flyers going off without them represented. So probably just a bit of control there as well, holding that pace high, and they can sort of make sure that their man Little is looked after.
Now, looking through here for the women, I do have sights already on an initial break and it will be none other than the current series leader right off the bat here, getting away from the rest of the field. We do have sights here on Jay Abbott here from the new team Fearless, but we do have the KRT rider here, Rachel Elliott, walking away right off the bat. And I'm not even sure if anybody else is going to try and follow at this point, and it may be a race for second right from the get-go here. She is currently leading with 20 points in the series. We have 13 total in the race out here today. The crowd is pretty loud out there. I'm going to see if I can bring that down just a little bit here. Okay, and so now we do see it is going to be Kreider then following up. Abbott, though, going from right from the get-go here, out of Poland, trying to chase it down, it looks like, but Elliott there, up into that 6.8 watts per kilogram. Current series leader, really just stomping down with some dominance right from the get-go, and I'm not sure she's going to be seen again, Wes.
No, it looks like she's gone into a bit of a time trial mode here, out at that high pace that start of these quick races we see, the screws being turned on, but I wouldn't think we'd turn it on this early. But Rachel seems to have, she took off in the last, I think it was 2 laps of the race last week, and now this week she's decided she'd go all alone all the way. So yeah, she's really have to settle in here now. Looks like she's got a nice cadence going. She's at that 90 cadence there. Heart rate seems to be sitting at that 170, so she's going out here and we're starting to set a rhythm here. I think she's going to hold that.
Yeah, and I think she's trying to play to her strengths as being a time trial specialist in real life as well. I think her usual style is just to set a crazy pace at the front end of the race and say, catch me if you can. And it looks like it's working out for her this week. And I have a feeling some of the other riders might be saying, you know, I suffered last week for trying to go with her. Why don't I try and race the rest of the field for some better points, perhaps, is what they're shooting for in that top 10 and try and grab a spot in that top 10 to get that invite there. We do have Abbott here about 32 seconds back already at about 4 or 5 watts per kilogram. Kreider here now sitting in third, and she's actually, I believe, our third place rider right now. Yeah, with 18 points in this series right now. Abbott, it looks like, as far as I can see, not sitting in the standings, actually. So she's going to gain quite a few points, actually, in the standings if she's able to hold on to this position now. Now, it is not a best of, though, so she's going to have to show up to quite a few races and make sure that she continues to grab these kind of points, actually, at the front end of this race. But if she holds on to second over and over again or around this kind of placing, she will start to take down some of those riders sitting within the lower end of the top 10. We do have Konebear here with Fred 76, and that is actually 4th and 5th place actually in the series overall right now. So this is going to be a battle right now, it looks like, or maybe working together to bring back Kreider, who they were with for a good amount of the race last week actually. They were working together with Kreider, I believe, for a good amount of the race, but I believe Kreider was able to get away toward the end. Looks like a little bit of change up in the tactics this week for the women, though.
Yeah, it looks like there, and we're just getting some information that Konebear has had a little bit of a dropout and having a bit of technical difficulties as well, but looks like she's in there working away there now. It can be a little bit frustrating sometimes when you have those mechanicals sort of early on in the race, but it looks like she's got into a rhythm here and they're going to work together here, make sure they sort of capitalize on having someone to work with. You know, otherwise it's a team time trial. I mean, an individual time trial there instead of a team time trial. So we see these two work together here now. Really important they keep Kreider that keeps rolling through with Konebear and sort of set a nice pace here, and they can hold the other races off behind and make sure that, you know, if there is any other technical issues or something out in front, there is a puncher that these two can come up and try and take the goods off Rachel out in front solo.
Yeah, I think Konebear looks like has come back to the rest of the world of Zwift. I would hope so. Maybe just a little bit of a dropout on the internet momentarily there. That's usually why, if you ever do get that in game where everyone just disappears, it's usually a network issue coming from the house where you are at. Usually, not always, but usually it's a network issue there. So once in a while there may be a server issue on the other side, but if it has come back, most likely it will stay for the duration as long as the internet stays good here. Now we are coming into the hot spot out on course now, heading through the hall here. It is going to be Team Mueller, is currently 6th place in the series, making his way to the front, but it is going to be Burton. And look at the power-ups being thrown down here left and right now, as we do have Burton from the TFC up toward the front, certain first place right now. Sternfalk is out there as well. He's currently, I believe, sitting in 5th place overall, followed up by Faber here riding for WAY out of Russia there. Ben's following up as well, and now it will still all be together, but let's see where things are at the back end of this field right now. About 2 seconds back, but no gap between the rest of the riders just yet. Looking through here if there's anybody unable to hang on to the wheels. Now this is a dangerous place to be though. One person lets that gap go and it's all over for everybody behind them unless they have a huge amount of wattage to give. As you can already see, Tobeface here, KRT, 183 beats per minute, is got a whole lot of heart rate going on, as you can see here, Wes. I mean, what are these riders thinking at this point at the back end of this field?
Yeah, I mean, when you're down the back end of this field and it stretches out like that, you are pretty much doing an attack to get back onto the back of the group. You know, and we see that wattage they're putting down there, over 450 watts, and trying to hold just to bridge that gap back up and make sure that they hold onto the back of this group. Like you were saying, Nathan, if you're getting that towards the back there and it starts to stretch out, and if someone drops that wheel, you pretty much have to do the same amount of power as an attack to go off the front of the bunch to get back to the middle of the bunch or to stay on the back of the group. So yeah, it can be a difficult one, and that initial surge we see with those other efforts being used with the power-ups from the front, those other riders that are struggling down towards the back, you know, it's hard to try and stay in there, but they are still doing that sort of same equivalent effort. So that's where position comes into it, really key.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of times questions about whether or not tactics and abilities of playing things intelligently really matter within Zwift, and you can see it that the riders who are extremely experienced always know kind of where to be when. They always know how to use the program correctly. The experience really comes into play to reserve as much energy as you possibly can and then use the attacks at the points on the courses that you know that they're going to matter the most. And so some of the more experienced riders, especially those who are looking for a sprint, I'm thinking of course of Hargreaves or maybe a Kim Little here. There's a couple other experienced sprinters out there as well. Maybe an Adam Webb out there might be looking for the reserve of the energy and really be throwing those cards in the tables when it matters the most, for sure. We do have a couple questions coming through here. This is a great question coming from Fish, actually. And there are, here we go real quick on this question. Fish is asking, will Zwift ever create a team series? As in, you can sign up as a team and rock team jerseys for points. That's with Community Live. That is coming through Twitter. And Fish, most races are community organized, and that already exists. The SCR series actually is tracking team results currently. Every Wednesday, you can show up with your team, and if you are registered with ZwiftPower.com, you will get tracked for that team, actually, for that series, actually. A 15-race series, best 12 for the SCR series, actually, every Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. BST. So that already exists within the community. Not sure about whether or not Zwift will run something similar. I wouldn't be surprised as it gets advanced by the community if Zwift picks up on it and says, hey, this is a sweet way to run things, and have maybe some sort of team time trials or other, you know, adding all kinds of cool things in it. But yes, it definitely does exist already within the community racing. And Paul Dayabout coming in saying, is JT in? I have not seen him yet, actually, which is actually really surprising. Thanks, Paul, for asking. I'm going to take a look around, Paul, and keep looking. Currently sitting in 3rd place. I'd be really surprised if he does not show up out there because he has the points to try and make it into the finals. So hopefully we do see JT out there. Maybe we just missed him, or we'll have to see if we do have a comment there from social media if we do see Mr. Jens Tempelar, who's in 3rd place overall currently. For the women right now, we are seeing them starting to make their way into one of the crucial places out on course here, just making their way up and over the climb into Trafalgar Square. They are catching up to Fred 76. Actually, Fred 76 put a attack in to carry here. riding, looks like in that TFC kit. I wonder if Friend 76, yeah, she does ride for TFC. It's good to see in the yellow kit there. As you can see, Kona Bear riding for BRT team here, being caught up by, it looks like Sidecott here coming out of France. I probably did not get that name correct whatsoever there, but it looks like she's killing it as well. Will be a chase group of 3, but it is still going to be Kreider here, certain in 3rd place, also 3rd place in the series, followed up by Abbott here in 2nd there. Rich Elliott off the front, absolutely killing it as she usually does in a realm of her own as far as it goes for the talent of amongst the women here. But this is the battle here for the top 5 right now, as it looks like Kreider and Abbott have gone into the decision to just do a solo TT, Wes, and it's just head down and watch that heart rate and make sure you don't go too hard, actually, I would think, for the duration of the race at this point.
Yeah, you don't want to go over that red zone. So that some of these riders here now, we have to start to think, can I hold this? Am I able to maintain this sort of pace and this effort? So that's where they're going to have to really watch their numbers there and watch their heart rates, also their cadence, to keep on top of it there and make sure they set a nice, good pace. Looks like we're coming back to the men's race now, and we're looking at Toby here. So Toby looks like he's seeing a nice 90 cadence there, 300 watts and 70 heart rate. So most of these riders now are sort of sitting around that sort of, close to that threshold, most of these riders here. So that, the pace is reasonably high here as well, Nathan.
Yeah, it looks like they are absolutely killing the wattage still here. It does not seem like it's going to be slowing down even during these sections where you would think that they're going to be reserving a little bit of energy, but with still, it looks like at least 40 riders in amongst this group. They're trying to push that pace. Your chances of the win continually lower and lower as the more riders you do have in amongst the group. So if you maybe, and we do spot Templar now, my mistake, the Race WBR rider is here. And there's just so many riders out here looking for those points and to make their way into the final here. And we do see him up toward the front now, making himself known a little bit up in that 7.1 watts per kilo. Sternfalk still there. And we do see all of the leaders within this series now really making themselves known up to the front as they start up their second time up and over the top of the Whitehall climb here. And now a 3-second gap here, it looks like, up to, looks like maybe Faber, but not going anywhere because it's closed down immediately. Lots of arrow power still being thrown down right now as we make our way back to the back of the pack here. See if anybody is unable to hang on that second time up from the top. Susie here just grabbing on. It looks like 6.1 watts become 176 beats per minute, though. Will be Jocko Bonus now off the back. Now we'll give him a ride on as he attempts to wait up, it looks like, for a few who also fell off the pace, and maybe be able to pick a few more off as they make their way around the course and maybe off the back as well. As you do see them just hanging on, Wes. 175, again, 162. Well, 145 from the Cura man here, Johan Gren. Fairly low heart rate there. We'll just leave that one alone here. But 164 there, then also from Benz. Riding for GOAT. A lot of new teams I'm seeing out here, actually, Wes, that I'm not familiar with.
I know what that acronym stands for, GOAT. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but
community maybe let us know.
Yeah, well, hopefully someone will let us know. But yeah, these other riders that were just held off the back there, that were sort of finding a group, Nathan. It's good to see that that they are looking for each other to sort of continue riding on. A few of these races that are going to involve, we've got 120 odd that started today, so not all of them are going to be able to stay with the pack. So that's where looking around is a good idea to safety in numbers, and you can work your way all the way to the finish. And then next week you can see how long you can stick in there. So it's a little bit of a challenge for some of these races to keep up with this pace, but don't be disheartened, because there is a pretty high number of watts being laid out early on in this race.
Definitely. And as you can see up toward the men's front here, again here, 160 beats per minute coming from Faber Franken here now up into the 151. So now it looks like it's actually, I should say, lowering now at this point as they do start to calm down a little bit, come through their second lap now. 4 to go, I believe. 4 to go to believe out here, as now we do have Mox and Sea Chasers here up toward the front, using a little bit of arrow power up, actually looking for some of that maybe RNG in his favor, as we do have 3.5 watts per kilogram coming from him. Maybe just looking for a double power up. Usually if you're going to throw that down though on the front like that, you're looking for a second arrow in a row. You can get a full-on minute of arrow power up actually, if you do have enough luck, you know, to grab that double power up through the start finish line there. Looking toward the front now. Turksma here, also out of the Netherlands, and 149 beats per minute, calming down fairly good amount at this point. I'm going to check out zwiftpower.com real quick. If you're unfamiliar with zwiftpower.com, it is the place to get live results as well as results from the race afterward for a lot of races out on Zwift. Not just the crit series, but most races out on Zwift. It is a community website. We want to definitely let everybody know it's a community run website in which it tracks all of the stats for all of the riders throughout the races live as well as afterwards for the results that the community puts together. It is in conjunction with race organizers from the community as well as those who build ZwiftPower.com that run each of those results trackings and then give you guys the results from the community there. So we are seeing a solid, still even with this tactical race, into that you know, the 20-minute effort that we've seen so far hasn't been below 4.0 watts per kilogram, though, for pretty much the entirety of this front group here. The first one would be Jay Rooney, number 33, coming out of New Zealand, actually, has 3.9 watts per kilogram. Only one under I can see. Worthington as well, 3.8 coming from him. So maybe a couple of the smarter races out on course, more tactical racers out on course here. But most of the riders here are somewhere between 4.0 and all the way up even into 5 watts per kilogram for a 20-minute effort so far. Really a lot of matches burned early on just to hang on with this racers.
And we're just getting a bit of a feed through, Nathan, as well. If anyone is having difficulties with their internet connection and can't send your riders, please do continue on and continue the race as much as you can. You know, obviously you won't be able to see the other riders, but do continue on, push on, press on, finish those races, because you will still be able to get those points which are on offer. So just make sure that you carry on, and it may look like you're doing a solo time trial, but you may be with other people, but just keep pressing on and be involved in the race. But the races here, Nathan, you were saying, like, it looks like the men's race went out really hard early, and we're seeing those heart rates now when you've been clicking through dropping down about 10 beats. So there is a little bit of a, you know, it's still, the pace is on, but it's eased up just a tad now.
Yeah, it looks like the initial 20 minutes or so, the riders put everything they had, it looks like, on the table to make that lead group, or at least quite a few matches burned in order to make this lead group. And now maybe we might see a few, though, that we see on that lower end, on the lower end of the of the watts per kilogram that were held throughout that first 20 minutes. We might see a couple of those riders now make their way to the front here, I would think. You know, Worthington had a fairly high heart rate there, but I believe, but there were a few that were below, I mean, watts per kilogram, but they were for below that 4.0 or right around that 4.0 in order to hang on. And if they are a rider that can hold a solid 5+ for 20 minutes, they will have a little bit in reserve so far. And coming into this third lap, if there are a few that are on the rivet at this point, we are seeing Kali here at that 174. Not a lot of riders that beat very much higher than that over, you know, for their threshold heart rate. And if the law of averages are correct on Kali here, he's making his way to the front just to hold on, as we might see a few Tacx coming through here. Here's an arrow power up. We are seeing a whole lot of feathers now come on through. Here comes Vanna here from Race WBR now out of Belgium. We'll give him a ride on now with that feather power up here. Dempster's up to the front as well. Now I'm wondering about Dempster here because I believe he had a fairly good result in the last race. He is not sitting, that I can see, though, within the top 20 here. So he's going to be looking for some points out there as he makes his way to the front of this group here. Kim Little, though, current series Little, looking comfy 164 beats per minute. Definitely not too hard of a heart rate for him. 400 watts here, as you can see now. And it will be Hargreaves, though, currently second overall in the series now, 177. MacD is there. And where is MacD sitting in the overall? Has he grabbed enough points to be in there, as well as my question? I'm not seeing him actually within the overall.
Not seeing his name there, Nathan. Yeah, not seeing his name there, but it was a perfect example there where we saw Collie move up there before we started, that initial surge there. Collie went to the front there. We're seeing it, over threshold just to move to the front. And then we saw Collie drift back through the bunch. So that was a real prime example of how positioning there definitely helps a lot there, because Collie just sort of did that ghost, you call it, that drift back through the bunch, was at the front and then drifts back. So good tactics there by Collie, looking after legs, thinking ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like we were saying, the positioning is so key. I haven't done a whole lot of crit racing in my life. Have you done a lot of crit racing, Wes? I believe you've probably done quite a few.
Yeah, a lot of crit racing, a lot of real life crit racing, and I've done a fair few sort of e-crit style races here on Zwift as well. So yeah, tactics definitely is key. When you're getting those stop-start sort of surging efforts. It's quite vital to know where you should be for those key moments.
As a mountain biker, it was always about positioning going into the single track. But I would believe that there's a little bit like that as well for those key moments where there's almost so much space for grabbing the wheels on certain places out on a course here. But also the idea of if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. I've heard that a lot from a lot of crit racers, that if you're not making your way toward the front in some way, then you're moving backwards. You're going to find yourself eventually at the back end of the pack. So there's always this continual jostling that's taking place, and just using the resources correctly throughout the entirety of the race to always be kind of moving your way forward, but always find yourself in the correct positioning, but not overextending yourself all the time throughout the race out on Zwift. And being experienced within crit racing, would you think that's true within the Zwift platform, with the way that some of these riders might be looking to conserve energy out here?
Oh, definitely. Like it keeps, like you're getting that, especially with the bunchy, you're getting that washing machine effect. Everyone's sort of coming around the outside, and you're getting pulled back. So, like you said, if you're not moving forward, then it doesn't, in this sort of style of race, doesn't feel like you're actually part of the race. So you're always sort of on the pedals, but to make sure that you're on the pedals, but not pushing too far forward and hitting the front. So that's where you'll see some of the experienced players, really make sure. We did see Little and Tom Hargreaves come up towards the front there. They tapped on the front, and then you see them sort of just funnel back through. So that initial little bit of a surge going through with that washing machine effect. And obviously those two riders are the stronger of the pack. So naturally they're gonna probably hit the front. But we did see them funnel back into the peloton. So it's important that you go through those waves, and as soon as you start to feel that you've gone on the other side of the wash machine and you're starting to get pushed back, you're moving back forward again.
We did see a little attack there from Burton there coming through the start-finish line, actually. It didn't amount to a whole lot, but a little bit of something there. Maybe throwing down a little power-up. We did see Kalen for the first time poking his head out toward the front there as well. He's currently sitting in, it looks like, 19 overall in the series. Very strong rider, though, out on Zwift, riding for that KRT team. I'd be watching out for him for maybe making a little bit of show. We had such a huge pack of riders coming to the line, actually, in the race last week, that I believe we could have a lot of position changing in this race. Riders looking back and going, okay, how could I play that differently? How could I come to the line with a better sprint? How can I position myself better in that last 500 meters and kick at the correct times? A lot of times, if you don't follow early on at the right time and you wait a little bit too late, you don't find yourself in the right position if you wait a little too long, especially in that last 500 meters. So within this top 20 here that we have, I think amongst them, it could be anybody that could grab that top 20 again. I mean, Burton, Timmis, we're seeing Richardson in there, Mitch Joe, all these riders all been on the podium before in some races out on Zwift in the past. So definitely be watching out for any of these riders to be taking down that 20 points again. Again, I would say Hargreaves, Tempelar, Little already showing themselves as being some of the strongest out there with their performance last week, but you need to be watching out for people really smartening up, and with so much on the line. You know, a lot of times when you're just in it for the workout, we said this last week as well, a lot of people take a lot more risks, throw their cards on the table earlier, you know, really burn some matches, just get out there for the workout. But a little bit of conservation, I think, taking place today with the struggles that are with all that is on the line out here today. We are, for some reason, losing, it looks like here for just a second here, the feed. I'm going to see if I can bring it back in. We'll go ahead and do a little bit of social media interaction while we wait for that. And we are seeing a couple of questions through here, I believe, or at least Laura Verna here saying, go fearless ladies here. And we did, so it looks like we did lose, though, the for some reason the feed here coming through here out on Zwift here. We'll see if we can bring this back in for you boys and girls. While we do wait for that, we're going to go ahead and bring a couple things in here from our sponsor here, from Tacx, on the new Flux and Neo, as well as a couple of Zwift promotions here. And we are back, boys and girls. I do have the men's race here, so we will be able to bring them right back on in. Sorry about that, boys and girls. We were able to get back into it, though. We do have the feed for the men's race. Apologies, you guys. Make sure if you are out there out on course right now, you continue on if you're having any issues whatsoever, and finish out the race. It will make sure to be taken into account for the finish, but it's all about getting across that finish line as fast as you possibly can today if you are having issues out there whatsoever. So looking through here, we do see still up toward the front here, it is going to be Faber. Rooney, though, is in there as well. He cannot. Now, what's your opinion here, Wes, though, on the, you know, I've seen some controversy around this, you know, riders jumping in that are not from the area and able to grab the points for that series, or for that, you know, for the EU, you know, the EU. I know in the Australia E-Crit series, there was also a little bit of some people jumping in as well. So what was your guys' take on that? And how would you chat about that between you and Jesper or others that you've heard in the community?
Yeah, well, we had Ollie Jones in the race. I think from the second half of the E-Crit series, we had him race nearly all of the E-Crit series. He's won. I think if he had been eligible for points, because he wasn't Australian, he's New Zealand, so he would have finished second overall throughout the series, just by the points that he would have got there. So, you know, I thought it was good that that Ollie got involved. I mean, he then has gone on to be one of the top 10 finalists in the Dimension Data Zwift Academy. So, he's used that to get himself known here. And, and when me and Jasper worked out that he was in that age group of only being 20 years old, we highly suggested that he get involved. So, we're seeing a progression through there from him racing part of a series that he wasn't eligible on points. So as far as I'm concerned, it's all good racing. And we did a few of the other Asian riders jump in and race as well from Japan throughout the series. But we only really had Ollie as one major consistent racer that raced throughout the series.
And it does bring in a little bit of some team tactics, the ability to have a team that's involved, the worldwide international team, and a little bit of encouragement almost to get involved in the community more. That being involved in the community, be a community member that's connecting with other riders actually brings you some benefit as well within these races, I would think, Wes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we saw Anthony Vegan Porsche from Team Vision rock up last week and was doing the job for some of his teammates in this European Ecrit series. So yeah, it is a real connector for people getting involved in these teams throughout on Zwift to be able to work for each other. So that's something that maybe down the track will be may have a different format, but for now I think it works really great in building the community and getting everyone involved.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's definitely a great point there on the community building point, having the teams involved and all that. I think it's a great thing actually. If you got to grab those points, you got people to race against. That you got. I mean, everybody's got the same issue, right? Everybody's racing the same course.
I guess, Nathan, that's where, if you do have teammates, then the other people that don't are maybe looking to build a team. So there we go. It's like self motivation there to start your own community and get your own mates going. So that's a great motivation to create. I like that motivation right there. So we are seeing, we want to make sure that you guys know we are watching what's happening within the women's race as well. I'm watching the live results as they do come through right now. I can see that Rachel Elliott still off the front, it looks like, has a solid, it looks like 2 minutes over the top of the current second place sitting, it looks like Abbott there. Abbott without any points currently in the series though, followed up though, so she'll be grabbing a solid 19. She gets across the line there. Then it will be Z Kreider. They're sitting in third. Carrie Konebear, Saikat there as well, and Fred 76. Still altogether about 2 minutes back from Abbott coming from Fearless. That's the currently situation there for the women. Then Van der Beij all alone about a minute or so back from that chase group of 3. I Johnson and it looks like C Pollard there also are in the mix still, and they are all, a lot of those women there are sitting within the top 10 that are still within the chase group. So we are following along, and we will give you the results at the end according to zwiftpower.com at the end of the race. Those are preliminary results though, just so everybody knows. So the official results are released after the race with new series standings as soon as possible. Moving our way forward now, we are heading into, it looks like almost toward the finish of with 1 lap to go. I believe they're gonna have 1 lap to go after this one. We'll have to double check that. Yep, Wes, 1 lap to go after. Thank you, Wes, for keeping track as I run my mouth maybe so much that I cannot keep up on the laps out here. Now, Burton, I'll give myself one job there and give you a break, Nathan. But today I'll be trying to make sure I count the laps for you.
So Burton here from the TFC now with Collie now up toward the front. Now it looks like on that same kind of thing we were seeing with Kim, and we were seeing as well Tempilar and Hargreaves toward the front, then making their way back into the race with the middle of the pack there. And what's the wild card, I'm wondering here, amongst the racers though? I want to take a look at the current watts per kilogram toward the front here over at zwiftpower.com, see if the numbers can tell us anything here. I'm seeing El Unger here coming out of, it looks like Norway, riding for BOC. Unfamiliar with this rider. Maybe one of the wild cards perhaps as well. A Benz as well, riding for Goat there. Unfamiliar with that rider as well. We'll have to take a look and see if he's sitting in the top. Not within the top 20 either. So maybe a few riders here looking fairly comfortable. Burton though, always looking for that top 5. always chatting about him looking for that podium. He usually makes it into the final top 10, but has struggled, it looks like, in the past to grab that podium spot. We'll see if he can make that jump and grab some of those points to try and grab. It looks like he is sitting actually in, it looks like it is going to be 17th place overall. So maybe in the mix to grab a top 10 or even a top 5 today.
So Nathan, the Team Goat, have you ever seen Team Goat out on course before? Is that something new?
I've
yeah, because I'm trying.
Oh, I'm seeing greatest of all time. Is that right?
Oh, all right. I was thinking it was going to be go out and train. I thought there might have been a standard for that.
Patrick Hover gave a comment at Facebook, but it was immediately after JT was spotted, and I thought that he was saying that JT was greatest of all time, but I'm wondering if perhaps Goat is standing there for is standing actually for greatest of all time, and that's what that was coming through for. So I'm wondering if that's what that was all about.
Yeah. Me, it was go out and train. I thought it might have been.
Yeah, that might be it as well. I wonder if that's what it is. Can we get a confirmation there from the viewers? Is greatest of all time what that stands for? And then we can actually check over at zwiftpower.com. Goat is registered, actually. A-Benz is definitely registered, and it has all German riders actually on the team, according to zwiftpower.com.
Muller in there? Is Muller part of Goat, or?
I'm seeing it looks like Gerd Hedwig, Simon Vollmer. Yeah. Yep, Simon Vollmer's in there. Mike Fuchs. It will be Andreas Knopke, Armin Benz, and Andreas Opitz, all for the races. And I wouldn't be surprised if Andreas was the team director or sportif or the manager, as he has 113 races out on Zwift, almost 100 more than the rest of his teammates. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if he just recently started that and jumped in with a bunch of his buddies from Germany. Always a cool thing whenever people grab some other locals and start racing as a team out on Zwift, as well as maybe with teams that they have in real life, when that real life connection hits the virtual world and able to work together. We are in the last lap, boys and girls bell lap out here today, and still a huge pack that hasn't been able to whittle down too much. Do you think we're going to see some attacks here into this little turnaround where it forces us to slow down?
Yeah, I don't think if there are some attacks, I don't think it's going to go too far, because I think all these races, like you're saying, Nathan, that they really want to stay around the front here, and I don't think they'd be letting anything go this late in the race now, coming into the last lap. That bell's gone, and now they're all sort of looking at each other. I mean, it's not going to stop people trying, though, so they will start to think about maybe doing a flyer. But if they do, they really want some company that are committed with the same amount of level, and they want to go on with the move, because creating that gap is the hardest part. The next hardest part is just maintaining that gap. So it's got to be an all or nothing sort of style if you are going to attack.
It's definitely been fairly calm out here for this race, actually calmer than usually, actually, and than it usually is, actually. I'm really surprised on the tactics here, but as you can see, the teams are not too stacked at this point. There's only one or two from each team, and so without those teammates, but there's plenty of teams present at the same time. BRT, you can see 2 BRT riders there. We do see 1 or 2 TFC riders. We do have at least 1 or 2 Team Experimental riders. We do have 2 Vision riders, but without too many, they know that they're going to be chased down fairly quickly. So it looks like there hasn't been a whole lot of gumption or bravery to really go off the front, or at least maybe just playing it smart, because they know it's just going to be chased down by whoever's working as a domestique within those teams. Perhaps without more members of the team showing up, there just isn't the firepower to get away from the likes of all the other super strong teams out in the peloton today.
When we see Gallows going out here now, stretching the legs out, over that's nearly 7 watts per kilo, now going down to 6, so creating a little bit of a gap there now. So a couple of riders following the move here now, and I think we'll see a bit of a shake and bake up over this climb here now. We'll see some riders probably start to want to try and go across and then keep going on with a move over the top.
Yeah, and we are seeing them stretching the legs a little, like you said. maybe trying to shake him up just a little bit. I'm surprised we haven't seen anybody go kind of early here. It seems like this week is all about the final sprint, that we are not really seeing anybody kick. Even at this point, a lot of times you do want to loosen up the legs a little bit, make people's heart rates rise up before you hit this climb so that you know you can make the break. But it looks like a lot of the teams, a lot of the people here in this group, a lot of these guys are just leaving it to the final sprint today.
Yeah, it's going to come down to a nice big group sprint by the looks of it. Unless someone wants to really do a fly here, but if they do, it'd be a mighty effort to hold off a charging pack in towards the line. But we see someone trying to have a go here now. Frecken is having a go here now, and over the top we see Burton now really light it up. So putting down the watts here, he's not going to leave any chance. He's going to continue this on now, Nathan, creating a really nice gap here. Looks like the bunch has just gone in the distance here a little bit there. So he's laying that smack down now. He's not going to let up on those pedals at all.
426 watts, 189 beats per minute. If Burton is able to hold this off, it'd be absolutely amazing. The pack is calm at this point. I think they believe they will bring him back almost no matter what at this point, but that may be Burton's little bit of light at the end of the tunnel there. He might be able to go while they're calming down, but now we have some counters here coming. We do see 4-4 from Dempster here. Not too much actually as they sit in. Burton has a solid 3 seconds here, but here comes now, it looks like Sternfalk in there. Let's see, Team Experimental Makers where the front is going to be Kim Little actually doing the pulling himself actually at the front, not actually even allowing Westerhoff, his teammate, to do the work.
That's interesting there, Nathan. So that's really got to take a little bit of the sting out of Little's legs here coming into the final. We're about to come under the banner here now, and Little leading the front.
Now we do see Kim Little here with 1 to go here. There's Team Experimental right next to him with Westerhoff, but he's not grabbing Westerhoff's wheel. He's going directly to the front as you do see Adrian Timmis, ex-Tour de France professional rider, going to the front. Took 3rd place at the CVR in London, actually. Absolutely killing it. Knows maybe that he cannot take the sprint, and he's just going to try and hold on from the 1K to go banner, maybe knowing that the only way that they will be able to catch him is if the teams are able to work. But here comes Rooney, Team Experimental sitting in as at the front now, not sitting in, taking the pole. The lead out train has begun already. Kim Little sitting on the wheel now. It's 500 meters to go. Kane Sports, Timmis has already blown the aero power-ups though.
Oh, I don't think we're going to see where Timmis is going to get pumped again. Rooney is going up for the chase over the top. We see the Vision Rider shoot through now. Who is that, Nathan? Over the top.
Oh my goodness, it's Templar though. It's Templar though. Templar goes with the aero power up from the group.
Oh.
And now it's going to be 10 watts per kilogram. Webb, Sternfalk though. Sternfalk from Vision Cycling takes it from the pack there. Templar with that crazy attack tried to make it happen, but we'll have to settle, I believe, for second. Maybe, but it was Sternfalk with that perfectly timed attack with 200 to go with an aero power up there.
Now that was a finish. We couldn't tell who was going to win till they crossed the line there. That was a really what an absolute timing there to get that last 200 meters come through with the goods. So great riding there. Vision taking the win.
Yeah, Vision taking the win. We'll have to wait for some preliminary results for the overall there. I did not see where Kim was at. I wasn't able to quite get the right vantage point. It'll be really interesting to see in just a moment here, because I believe Hargreaves and Little might have been out of the contention for that top 5 podium at a certain point there. Little was trying to hold on to Rooney's wheel. It might have been a little too much to be that far toward the front though with a lead out train. Sometimes the lead out train, it can be too much, and some of those sitting in it looked like it was the likes of Vision Cycling with Webb, Sternfalk. I think there was one other from Vision in there making the lead out for them. Really set it up well, I think, for kind of in that top 5 or so, or 10 to 5 the entire time, never too far back, and then the kick at the end, which really was able to bring it to the line there. Let's go ahead and see how things are going for the women, though, as we are going to get, we do have the preliminary results actually already at this point. So as I do bring these in, I'm going to take a look real quick at the current standings overall. This is the standings coming into the race. Okay, Sebastian Sternfalk took first place. So he'll grab a solid 20 points. That'll bump him up actually quite a bit here. Looking at this, Tom Hargreaves was second place. He took 10th today. That will be 10 points actually. Kim Little in 12th. That'll be 8 points. That'll bring him back quite a ways there. Sternfalk will take over, I believe, the overall. Jörn Sempelar sitting in third there. Took 4th on the day, though, so it'll be very close there. I'm not going to do the math in my head at this point. It's going to be very close between Tobias Müller, who's in 5th, Jörn Tempelar, as well as Sternfalk, 4th. Who's going to take over the overall in this series? Tobias Müller in 5th place there, I believe, today here. So solid efforts all around. And we'll wait for the official results to come through, though, in a day or two as they do get figured out from ZHQ, though. I do see, let's go ahead and bring in for the women's results still. We do want to bring those in just a second here, as I do see them still out on course, though. I believe Rachel Elliott still bringing it around here. A solid 4.8 watts per kilogram so far, Wes, for this race coming from Rachel Elliott that we can see over at ZwiftPower.com. We do not have a feed coming in right this. We actually lost the feed over here for the women's, but it does look like Rachel, 4.8 so far. She's got a solid, it looks like, I want to say 215. 230 over Abbott, but Abbott 4.2 for the duration as well for Fearless. That's some killer power going from the women there.
Wattage, yeah, so they're holding a pretty solid pace out there. So they're really obviously making sure they maintaining as well. Like to hold over 4 watts a kilo is no easy challenge. So they're really obviously in that time trial mode here and really monitoring themselves to hold that, because you can go out easily at 5 watts a kilo, but can you maintain that throughout the whole race? Usually is a no. But we're seeing them just 4.8 watts a kilo. That is one solid ride, and then 4.2 back in second place. That's still a very solid effort.
I might be able to actually find them out on course. I actually have found I. Johnson. I absolutely love it. Great. We were able to find one of the women out on course here. She is currently sitting, actually, let's see here, riding for PTZ, sitting in, it looks like 1, 2, 3, about, I believe, like 8th place or so amongst the riders out here out on course right now. We do see Jay Abbott here, I believe, chasing her down, though. This is second place out on course. Rachel Elliott has been able to, it looks like, catch Jansen and go right on by here. This is first place. Rachel Elliott making her way to the line. Absolutely awesome. We were able to find the women's race out here out on course. So Rachel Elliott, 4.4 watts per kilogram right now. She's put out a solid 4.8 so far. And if you guys, we've seen her race in real life. We've also seen her at some solid of races that have been put together by the community, actually, for some in real life arena racing. So she's going for it, it looks like, here in this Europe E-Crit series, actually, to try and get her ticket punched. It looks like she's already going to be taking down a solid 40 points. And unless some sort of, another woman comes out of the woodwork to challenge her, she may be just unchallenged throughout the rest of the races, it looks like, for the series, I would think here.
Yeah, that's where we were talking earlier with the men's. That's where some of these women could try and muster up some teammates and get a little bit of help there. But it certainly would be a solid feat to cover Rachel with that amount of power that she's throwing down. But then again, you've got to try these things. Got to make sure you use all the different tactics to try and get yourself involved in the series. So some domestics to try and hold that gap a little bit further back to Rachel, so there isn't such a drop off. But it looks like most of the time we've seen Rachel throughout today go off on her own there and set up that time trial. But then it looks like the other women back were racing for that second and third place in the minor placings. But I would have thought that there would be a little bit more of a group sort of gathering. But then we did see, Nathan, the time trial sort of effect happen as well, and they sort of all went out on their own, sort of creating a pace to sort of crack each other. I would have thought that they would do that a little bit later in the race, but it's funny how it panned out. They all decided to go into time trial mode.
Yeah, it was a little bit different this week than it was in weeks past, it looks like. And, they did hang out with Rachel for the first 4 laps or so, I think it was. At least there was that lead group with Kreider was in there. I think there was also another Fearless rider as well. But it does look like it is going to be Rachel Elliott taking the W out there. Then it will be, we do see Jay Abbott, then 342 back. Now, we were speaking of teams. This is a new team out on Zwift, a women's specific team, actually, that Abbott is on here out of Poland. And if you are looking for a team, I know Fearless is out there recruiting, but I would also suggest, too, to look out for women's specific groups within current teams. I know KRT obviously has Rachel Elliott on her team, but some women specific teams out there that you could jump into to grow that, like you said, and get into the racing, get into working out together out there, and maybe bringing some of these gaps down with the domestiques that you're talking about, as well as maybe some team leaders and some working together out there. We do see Rachel across the line, it looks like, and 0 watt per kilogram, 174. She gave us a little kick at the end, and diggity done.
She is done. And so she should be after that effort. That is a mighty solid effort. So out on 40 points now. So she's really got those points under wraps there. So she'd be pretty happy about that, I reckon, Nathan. It was a solid effort for today. So she got a really good workout in. And that's certainly going to bring her up for next week's heat grid as well.
For sure. Now we are seeing her teammate, Ludendorff, and I believe there might be relation there going with Steven Ludendorff and then a Ludendorff here, actually, from the KRT team here. So good to see them out there together riding and racing. And now she's going to start up her last lap here. Now we are back with Liz going to be Saikat, who was able to get away. Actually, she was with Kona Bear and Fred 76 out on course, actually. So we are seeing it is going to be an attack here from Saikat. It will be then Fred 76 trying to chase that down. Kona Bear here now as well. 3.4 watts become 155 beats per minute. Back with Abbott now sitting in second place, though, as she looks to come across the line for that second place finish out there. And she went right from the get-go as well. Same tactic, it looked like, as Rachel. Maybe tried to go with her, held on as long as she could, and then fell off, but had that gap then because of what the effort Rachel put out was.
Yeah, so creating that gap, following that effort of Rachel, and then setting in at her own sort of tempo and effort, and it looks like she's been able to hold that consistently. We do see the cadence a little bit funny there. It looks like it was down to 60. I think maybe it wasn't quite right, but it's dropping and moving around a bit. But she's able to monitor herself there and make sure that she's held that nice consistent pace, and that's really worked out for her. So we're seeing a bit of a time trial action thing going here, where hopefully we get some more races next week. We might see a little bit more tactics of a bit more jostling like we saw last week of them riding together, a bit more of a pack, and then breaking away towards the end. But still a fair effort by all these riders. Are you aware of what FEAR stands for in the teams?
That is a great question. And I did, and now I do not know anymore. I did know, and I apologize. I do not know, and I know that Laura A. Verna is in the chat. She was a moment ago, and she, I believe, rides for Fearless, and might be able to let us know. There should be some Fearless girls, I think, hanging out in the broadcast. Let us know what it stands for. We'd love to know and let everybody know exactly what the acronym is there for.
We've got two of those today. We've got GOAT and FEAR. So if anyone can give us out in the community there, give us a shout out of what those two are, and we can follow it up next week. I'm just interested to know as well, Nathan.
Yeah, and we do have Jay Abbott coming across the line there for Fearless. Second place on the day. Solid effort there from her. Let's go ahead and see what Polar's going to have. One lap to go out there for Fearless as well, as I believe she's going to give us eyes into the finish here for third place as well. We'll stick around for third place, fourth, and fifth, as this is a very close race actually for fourth and fifth place still between Kona Bear and Fred 76 actually. We do have a couple of questions though coming through on social media real quick here. I'm going to make sure that we grab those and do not ignore them, as we do see a question here saying, where can we get the data? Okay, so the data that we were talking about there, Carl Kuhn is asking. So the data of the races for these races there will be official announcements from Zwift specifically for the standings. That's where we get those. But for the community races, as well as this race being tracked right now live by ZwiftPower.com, you can go ahead and head on over to ZwiftPower.com. This is an example of what it looks like to be at ZwiftPower.com. I'm going to go ahead. These are the live results. This is what the website looks like. I'm going to go ahead and open up this is what it looks like when you land here at ZwiftPower.com. And as I go through here, you can find all of the races that are registered up with them. We can click on then the race today that we are watching is the A and the B for the men and the women's here, as you can see. Open that right on up, and then there is a live tab. You have to open up the live tab because this is the results page. Live tab here, right? And then if there is a broadcast of the race as well, you can also watch that live right here with live video and live chat actually coming right on in from Zwift Community Live over at Twitch actually. So you can see, it's an all-in-one experience actually there. If you haven't done so already, actually, I highly suggest head on over to one of our live streaming platforms as well to get push notifications of any time that we do go live with any of the Zwift racing group workouts, our racer focuses, or any of our talk shows that we do here on Zwift Community Live. It is definitely the way to watch our live streams is on a live streaming platform, twitch.tv/Zwift Community Live or Mixer. As well as our VODs are over on YouTube for video on demand. The Facebooks you can watch there, but you will not get push notifications usually for when we do go live. We also do have his Facebook that you can follow, which is facebook.com/Zwift Community Live. Here is third place though, M. Psychot. We do have that battle behind there. It looks like Kona Bear, it looks like was able to stick away from Fred 76 though for that fourth place.
Looks like she's going to hold on here, and we did see Surcott also opting for, I don't know whether she's unlocked in carbon wheels, but it looked like she just had the low profile rims here. We see Kona Bear with a nice deep dish here and just chugging along with a nice Cervelo bike as well, so that's a nice aero bike. And Kona Bear really made sure that she's held on and pushed right through the end here, securing that fourth place. So nice amount of points picked up there for Kona Bear as well, so a big ride on.
Definitely great job to her pushing on through some challenges I think today. And looking at this, Fred 76 coming across the line just behind her. Z Kreider, I didn't see Nikki kicking out there today though. Did you? I did not catch her.
No, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. Kicking, I didn't see Kicken's name pop up around there, so she'll be kicking herself that she's missed out on those points today, but hopefully she'll come along next week to be involved, and hopefully some of these women will get some other teammates, maybe sort of challenge Rachel Elliott, who is being very dominant. We see her out on 20 points there, but now picked up the other 20 today, so out on 40 points down front.
Yeah, and we are going to see then Kreider, Kona Bear, Fred 76, Ing, as well as Vanderbilt is out there today, as well as it looks like Anya Ludendorff. Pollard we saw out there as well. I did not say Karagiani. Perhaps we might have missed her, but I did not see her out there today. But a couple of women it looks like will be jumping into, I believe, the top 10 today, as there are some women that have been out there today that we did not see in the past. So good to see some new blood out there that's going to jump into that probably top 10.
Nice work. Yeah, so the women will be making sure that they rock up the week after as well to keep securing those points. So it's good to see that we've got some new riders coming through with the women. A nice big field today also, Nathan, from the men at 120 odd riders. So good turnout today. Everything went really well. And I'm sure the races certainly got a good workout. It was fast racing out there. Even though the women was a different format, they still had a different still had a very hard race in that sort of time trial mode. We see a message coming through here, Nathan.
Yeah, so Laura A. Verna, she's a part of Team Fearless. She says, Team Fearless, we're an all-female racing team. Be fearless. So I think that's the tagline, why it's fear. It doesn't maybe not have a acronym, but be fearless is the idea there. It says, push harder than you think you can, join the co-ed races, smash them, and bring up the level of ladies races. Racing is what Laura is saying. It sounds like an awesome cause, and I'm really happy to see that women-specific race team out there. Well, that was quite the race there, Wes. very tactical in the men's race. Very, you know, a huge pack sprint toward the end there, as you could see. But it came down to quite a mix-up. Not what I was predicting, actually, at all for the sprint.
No, yeah, we saw that. So there's a Tacx there that sort of strung everything out. I would have thought, yeah, that it was going to sort of come down to that last sort of 200, 300 meters like we saw last week, but it was really wide open with those early attacks under that K to go banner, and it really just, it changed that dynamics of that sprint up. We didn't get a full-on sprint, like you're saying, the riders that were sitting back further in that 5th place, further back, sort of got that shake and bake effect and come through at the end when the other riders stretched out.
And I think that definitely was, you know, maybe some thinking about how this is going to play out and some change up in tactics, Wes. I think this week, some of the riders that didn't grab those top spots said, okay, here's how we're going to work it this time around, change it up, and we're able to grab some points out there. All right, that'll be it from us. Wes, thanks a lot for joining in. Appreciate your presence on the broadcast as always. Are we going to see you next week, Wes?
No worries. Yeah. Sorry, next week, no, I won't be around. I'll be helping out in Japan over there, but we will try, and I have someone in the pipeline maybe to fill in my spot while I'm away.
All right, sounds good, Wes. Have a great time in Japan. Always a pleasure to have you on the cast.
Thank you. Thanks, Daisy.
Yep, no problem at all. And that was the EU version, the Tacx EU Crit Series, race number 2. Results will be officially announced soon, and I think it's a day or two or so. Make sure to be watching out for that, as well as the series standings with some updated standings. Definitely a mix up today for sure. A huge thanks to the sponsors of the series, that is Tacx. We will have later today the NA series as well, so make sure not to miss out on that at 6:30 CST, 8 p.m. CST, as well as 9:30 Central Standard Time for all 3. We'll have coverage for all 3 of the NA series as well. I am Nathan Guerra, coming at you from Zwift Community Live. If you haven't done so already, make sure to head on over to twitch.tv/Zwift Community Live or mixer.com/Zwift Community Live and hit that follow button over there for live push notifications, as well as chat to interact directly with the rest of the community that does watch on a live streaming platform. Also, you can follow us obviously over at facebook.com/Zwift Community Live, and all of our videos on demand are over at YouTube as well. Also, Zwift Community Live. We'll see you in a few hours on Zwift Community Live for the NA series. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, great job to all the racers, as well as all the racers out there. And as always, a big old ride on.
When we combine smart technology with a direct drive trainer, the indoor training experience was elevated to a totally new level. The global response to the Neo has been phenomenal, and this has fueled our desire to develop a range of trainers that will make this superior training experience available to a larger group of cycling enthusiasts. The result is a highly functional, capable and intuitive device with its own distinctive silhouette. The Flux is a fully interactive smart trainer that connects you to all your favorite apps. Hosting the dual band and plus, FEC and Bluetooth technology, it communicates with and can be controlled by any device of your choice. The responsive smart electronics make sure that the smallest fluctuation in power settings is converted into an alteration in resistance, ensuring that each watt is transferred accurately to your body. The desire to create an accessible direct drive has meant designing a whole new product. The best riders are able to produce 850 watts for 1 minute or maintain 450 watts for 20 minutes. The Flux has been designed to deliver exactly these power values and thus more than capable of fulfilling the needs of the passionate cyclist. Driven by 8 strong electromagnets, the Flux is even able to generate a stunning 1500 watts during a sprint. The trainer feels very smooth due to its 7-kilogram flywheel, whilst the product's internal structure has been tuned to simulate a true road feel. Its compact design clearly differentiates the Flux from other indoor trainers, while subtly being a family member of the Neo, with the same stealth-like form language and durable, sophisticated finish. The Flux has been designed to beautifully complement Tacx's direct drive assortment. It can be seen as the most accessible, interactive smart direct drive trainer to date.